Good morning from Monza for round 2 of the Formula Renault 2.0 NEC. The grid is formed and we had a tremendous race yesterday. We're looking forward to more of the same. David Addison with you in the sunshine of the Italian Temple of Speed with a Belgian driver on pole, Max de Forni, and a winning driver yesterday, Dorian Boccolacci, who for this race will start 6th on the grid. The results of race 1 immaterial to the grid for race 2. It's based on a separate qualifying session. They have one qualifying period with a little 5-minute break in between, and a driver who crashed in Q1, Julia Pankiewicz, makes it to the grid but at the very back, having done no laps at all in Q2. Same principle as in the past in Formula Renault 2.0 NEC, same car for everybody, different teams operating them, and yesterday some absolutely belting racing to savour as well. And the pole position driver Max de Forni was in strife yesterday. He had a mechanical drama that caused him to pit and lose a couple of laps. He finished 19th, but he's going to be one to watch today. Jahan Daruvala started from pole position yesterday but got mugged early on. He will start 2nd on the grid here. Daruvala, part of the Force India junior driver programme. He knows his way around a Formula Renault car pretty effectively now. It's his 2nd full season in these cars, and Daruvala will be a man to watch for sure to try and make amends from yesterday. But Max de Forni needs points out of this race, and so the Belgian driver from pole position adds himself to our ones to watch list as well. Looking further down on the grid, 3rd is last year's BRDC Formula 4 champion. It's Will Palmer, who had a pretty mixed day yesterday. Seemed to race well, but got mired in traffic and ended up 13th. But here, from 3rd on the grid, the younger brother of Renault Formula 1 racer Jolyon Palmer will be looking to make progress, and lining up 4th is Sacha Fenestras, who was the runner-up in the French F4, the Autosport Academy series last year, moving now to a more powerful Renault-engined single-seater. 5th on the grid is another of the British drivers, Lando Norris, who's already taken victories this year in BRDC F3 and in Formula Renault Euro Cup. He was at the front of the grid yesterday but lost out in the first few laps and never really was able to get himself back into the mix for the race win, but he finished 3rd. And another good drive yesterday was done by Nikolai Troitsky, who finished in 2nd place, but Troitsky will start 8th on the grid here. So it's a jumbled grid compared to race 1's, and it's certainly a jumbled starting order compared to the results of the first race. So it promises to be another intriguing event, this. The championship with its familiar format, supporting the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup, will go from Monza to Silverstone to Budapest to Spa to Assen, where it's headlining the Gamma Racing Days, then the Nürburgring, and it finishes at Hockenheim with 3 races in early October, supporting the German GT Championship. Looking down onto the grid, there's Robert Schwarzman, who moves from the German and indeed Russian F4 championships, or the Central European F4 championship from last year, and he got involved in some good battles yesterday, did Schwarzman, on his way to finishing in. He's still in his mid-teens, 16 years of age now. Nikita Troitsky there raced really well, really hard yesterday. Behind him, somebody else who got involved in lots of battles, the purple and white car, Gabriel Aubry, and he's a man to watch as well, given the evidence that we had yesterday. So looking down to 27, Alex Gill, 2nd season in the NEC, having raced in the BARC Formula Renault Championship back in the UK in seasons prior to that, and the grid is complete. I don't think anybody with dramas from yesterday enough to keep them out of the race. We did have a bit of coming together between the Russian driver Nersis Istikhan and his fellow countryman Alex Kornev. They ended up with damage, and the car that was in the middle and used as a ramp, Julien Falchereau, he was out yesterday with the rear wing ripped off, but it was Kornev that got it wrong, and into the back of him went Falchereau, and over the back of Falchereau went Istikhan, and that was the end of that. Bruno Baptista also was a retirement from yesterday's race, so all of those drivers hoping for better fortune today, and we have 1 minute to go before the formation lap gets underway. So 23 cars on track. Formula Renault a little bit different these days, with the Renault support for the Euro Cup not as strong, the Alps Championship no more, so the NEC, with a very strong pedigree, is still very much one of the go-to championships, and to win this you've got to be very good indeed. So the formation lap will get underway shortly. The representatives of Josef Kaufmann Racing, of Fortec, of Tech 1, of R-Ace GP, JD Motorsport, AVF, Kia Race, Dirt Motorsport and the BM Racing team all flee from the grid into the pit lane, and in a moment we will be ready to go. The flashing lights on the course cars at the back, which will follow the pack around, and the green flag is waved by the official at the front to release the cars onto this final warming up lap. Not the start of the race, but a final opportunity for them to try to get some warmth into the tyres in readiness for a 25-minute race. We don't have a set number of laps in Formula Renault 2.0 NEC. Instead, it is 25 minutes, and yesterday we got through without a safety car, so that's going to be 14 laps, the target for this race. Max de Forney on the front of the grid. He was a winner at Spa last year, and a second-generation racer. His father, Didier de Forney, used to be a very quick Chrysler Viper racer in seasons past, in things like the FIA GT Championship, and Max back for another season in this type of car, this championship. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares with the lessons learned from last year. He's already had a successful start to his season in the other Formula Renault championship that exists, but we'll see how he fares now after the dramas of yesterday that caused the car to stop out on track. He did get going, got to the pits, and then treated the remainder of the race a bit like a test session in anticipation of today, and it looked as though by the end of it that the lap times he was doing were good enough. So these very, very rapid single-seaters that pull 248 kilometres an hour down to the first chicane, and indeed at the end of the back straight down towards the Parabolica. And as we saw yesterday, and we've seen in the past here with Formula 3, for example, it's the kind of circuit, Spa's another example, where you can slipstream, you can overtake in a slicks and wing single-seater category. And it was a very, very lively race indeed to begin with yesterday, until really, once he'd hit the front, Dorian Boccolacci started to break away. That's Julia Pankiewicz, who will start at the back of the grid. Dorian Boccolacci was the winner of yesterday's race, Nikola Troitsky second ahead of Lando Norris. The starting order is thus based on the times set in the second qualifying session. Max de Forney and Johan de Ruvela at the front from Will Palmer and Sasha Fenestras. Lando Norris fifth, and yesterday's winner Dorian Boccolacci only sixth ahead of Robert Schwarzman. And yesterday's runner-up Nikita Troitsky lining up eighth ahead of Gabriel Aubry, Alex Gil, Hugo de Sadelier and Enrique Chavez, who is 12th on the grid. 13th is where you find Alexei Konev ahead of Julien Fauchereau. They came to grief yesterday. James Allen, the Australian, is 15th ahead of Bruno Baptista. Bartolomei Miretsky back for another year. Narcis Issakian was in strife yesterday. Finlay Hutchinson, first season in these cars. He's been busy racing all sorts of random things to get signatures on his licence. He goes from 19th ahead of Kasper Larsen. Lawrence Herr raced well from the back of the grid yesterday. Vasilia Romanov is 22nd, and Julia Pankiewicz, who missed Q2, the second qualifying session for this grid, is at the back of the field. And yesterday, Julia Pankiewicz was 18th of the 19 finishers. But in fairness, the car that she finished ahead of was 2 laps down after Max de Forney had his problems. So perhaps that's not really a fair indication. She's still learning about this type of single-seater. Second season in car racing, having raced in the Italian F4 Championship last year. And Julia Pankiewicz, aged 16. She's not the youngest driver on the grid. That honour is Finlay Hutchinson, who is not only 16, but born in this millennium, born in year 2000, 20th of January 2000. Finlay Hutchinson, the Scottish driver for Mark Burdett Motorsport. So how old does that make you feel, born in year 2000 and here on the grid at Monza? So up to the one-by-one staggered grid they will come then. 25 minutes of racing, round 2 of Formula Renault 2.0 NEC for 2016. More Formula 1 hopefuls about to do battle. Last year's champion was Louis Delatraz, and this is a championship with a great roll call over the years, many of whom have gone on to sports car or Formula 1 success. And the field now slotting into position. As they do so, at the front is Max de Forney in the blue and white colours, the Force India livery effectively carried by its junior driver Johan de Ruvela, and then red and white the livery on the car for third on the grid in the hands of Will Palmer, and orange and white really for Lando Norris, the Brit behind him, between whom you've got Sasha Fenestras in the Tech 1 Racing colours, the team that won yesterday, and his teammate Dorian Boccolacci lines up behind him. So as soon as those last couple of cars are where they should be, we can have the indication from the starter that all is well. The green flag ready to be shown. That is displayed. 25 minutes of racing about to get underway then. Engine notes will rise. Race 2 for Formula Renault 2 litre is underway. Good start by Palmer, good start by Norris, although Sasha Fenestras tries to move across and defend on the run down towards the Rettifilio for the first time. Max de Forney from pole on the outside moves to the inside to defend from de Ruvela. Palmer's on the outside as they dive into the braking zone. De Forney locks up. Is he going to go straight on? No, he gets it slowed down in time. Lando Norris up alongside Will Palmer around the outside. Good move, he goes third. One of the Russian drivers cuts across the chicane, nips back onto the circuit, losing places as he gets going. Another one, I think, has got up the escape road as well. But it is Max Deforny leading the way as Will Palmer comes under attack now through the Curva Grande. Lando Norris, two wheels on the grass further up the road. Got a big old squeeze there. And they dive down towards the Variante della Roggia for the first time, with Norris up to second on the inside of Daruvala. Good racecraft on the first lap of the race from Lando Norris for Josef Kaufmann's team, and it's standing him in good stead as now Daruvala tries to fight back. Norris tries to squeeze him, but Daruvala comes back through on the inside. Through the first of the Lesmo bends, he's gone second again. Norris third, and all of this is playing into the hands of Max Deforny because the race leader is getting away up front now. They're squabbling behind him, and that means the gap is widening. So Daruvala, who proved yesterday to be a feisty racer, has got Lando Norris right up behind him, and Will Palmer coming under attack as well now as they work their way down towards the Variante Ascari. Into the braking zone they come, and Palmer loses track position there. The Tech 1 car goes through. Sasha Fenestraz having a decent first lap. Dorian Boccalacci trying to make progress as well from his 6th on the grid. Out of the Variante Ascari they come then for the first time down that back straight towards the Parabolica, and look at the advantage that Deforny has pulled as lower down the order Schwarzman pulls out and tries to gain track position under braking as well. Through the Parabolica they come up towards the end of lap 1. One or two of them running really wide up over the white line, but past the pits Max Deforny's advantage at the end of lap number 1 is already over a second. Second is Daruvala, third is Norris, fourth is Palmer, fifth is Fenestrat, in 6th place is Troitsky, 7th is Gill, 8th is Boccalacci, 9th is Aubry, 10th is Enrique Chavez as they come through. And Lando Norris again is looking to try and find a way back ahead of Daruvala, and Palmer goes back up on the inside to make sure he stays ahead of Sasha Fenestraz going down towards the Rettifilio. Nikita Troitsky in the red, white and blue SMP colours next, just ahead of Alex Gill. So it wasn't Schwarzman trying to make progress. In fact, Schwarzman has dropped a long way back down to 15th place on that opening lap. Through the Curva Grande they come, and again Lando Norris tries to line up to make his move against Johan Daruvala. He's on the outside for the first element. Can he go around the outside? Yes, he can. Can he keep it between the curbs? Yes, he can. Great move by Lando Norris. It pays dividends for him. Daruvala stays on the outside line in the silver-nosed car. Can he go around the outside? He's going to try and stand his ground, but no. Lando Norris makes it stick, and look at Palmer, elbows out behind, keeping Fenestraz at bay. The British driver resolutely stands his ground as Sasha Fenestraz tries one side and then the other, but he cannot find a way by. All of which enables Deforny a second up at the end of the opening lap to continue to pull clear. Lando Norris, though, looking very good in that first sector, helped a bit by a toe. He has done the best of anybody in sector 1, and he's quicker, is he? No, not quite as quick as Deforny in the second sector. Palmer and Fenestraz absolutely together, with Nikita Troitsky now running with them as well. So 3 of them for 4th place. Norris hunting down the race leader Deforny. And it's still the R-Ace GP, what used to be known as the ART Junior Team car, in the lead of the race. So Deforny leads the way. Will Palmer drives for the same team, and he runs 4th as Troitsky goes up the inside, can't find a way past Fenestraz, but on the outside line, Sasha's going to run wide, and Troitsky goes through. Line that one up perfectly, claim the line. And so now as they come over the timing line, Nikita Troitsky goes up into 5th place. Through they go, and the gap between the top 2, Deforny to Norris, is 2 seconds. Heading now down once more towards the Rettifilio. Up the inside goes Troitsky to try and find a way past Fenestraz. Is that contact? There's almost, and Alex Gill gets into the back of him. And Dorian Boccalacci there in the second of the black and orange cars comes up alongside Troitsky. That real pinch point, that bottleneck almost giving drama there. They just about got away with it, but the one that's probably lost out most is Fenestraz. He's lost time to the cars ahead, and he's got them all crawling over him now. Up the inside goes Troitsky. Alex Gill in the blue and white car goes one side and then the other. Dorian Boccalacci is there, so too is Gabriel Aubry, so too in the all-orange car is Enrique Chavez. Do they all get through the chicane? Yes, 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 they do. So, surprisingly, no wheel banging has gone on, although again Boccalacci gets a bit of a squeeze. And Sasha Fenestraz has got damage, hasn't he? He's got a wobbly wing at the front of the car. That's going to really impact on the downforce on the quick bits. You can see it flapping around as he turns now up through the second of the Lesmos. Wide behind him goes Alex Gill. But if that nose section of the car is as dangerous as it might well turn out to be, the race officials are going to bring him into the pit lane and have that sorted out. So I fear now Sasha Fenestraz is not long for this battle. Into the Variante Ascari they come. Alex Gill there, look, number 27, the British driver for Mark Burdett's team, keeping Gabriel Aubry at bay. Behind Aubry in the orange highlighter pen is Enrique Chavez for the AVF team. Race leaders head down towards us. Sector 1, Norris was quicker. Sector 2, Deforney was quicker. 2 seconds was the margin at the start of this lap, and it should be hovering around the same mark, I would have thought, unless Lando can really be brave. If, of course, he gets a little bit nearer, a toe might help him finish the work, but he's not close enough to think about benefiting just yet. Gabriel Aubry comes out of the parabolica then, still trying to make progress over the timing line. Fenestraz is losing out big time as now others are starting to attack him, and Dorian Boccolacci comes up to attack this time. So Deforney to Norris, 2 seconds. Third is Daruvala, fourth is Palmer, going much better today. Fifth is Troitsky, and sixth and seventh locking up there, heading down towards the chicane. You've got Fenestraz and Boccolacci, then it's Aubry, then it's Gill, then it's Chavez to round out the top 10. Through go the 2 Tech 1 cars. It was a Tech 1 win yesterday, Dorian Boccolacci's team. And Alex Gill trying to make a move as well as they work their way now up towards the second chicane. A big lock up there from Fenestraz. So Boccolacci's got past him. Chavez goes up the escape road and he will rejoin through the slip road, back onto the circuit. Doesn't gain out of all of that, doesn't lose too much either, thankfully. So Dorian Boccolacci has got himself up past his teammate, and you can see Fenestraz dropping away as he still struggles with the damage at the front of the car. Up front, the lead gap is still hovering around the same margin, but Jehan Daruvala lapping quicker than Lando Norris now within the first third of the lap, that first sector. And in the second sector, he drops back a little bit. He's now got Will Palmer right on his tail, so there's another great fight about to build up for third place, and more locking up. Fenestraz is really in strife now. The downforce isn't there, the car is becoming evil to drive, and just look at the queue stacked up behind him. Down they come towards the parabolica, and you can see you've got that leading, sixth inside. He should be able to make that move stick, and he does. And again, Fenestraz just can't get the car slowed down properly for the parabolica. The line is compromised, he's going to run wide, and Alex Gill is going to get the toe, and he's going to make a move as they come up past the pits then. The blue and white car is that of Alex Gill, up past the pit wall, down towards the Rettifilio. He should be able, with a sharp intake of breath, to brake as late as he can and go up the inside, and Fenestraz is going to really again struggle here to get that car slowed down safely for the chicane, and right with them as well, look, trying to join the mix now is Bruno Baptista. Into the braking zone they come, and more places lost, 2 of them this time for Sacha Fenestraz. The race, I'm afraid, is just falling away from him now, as up front Max Deforney's advantage is coming down. Last time Lando Norris lapped quicker. Sacha Fenestraz doing his best to hang on to the places, but it's just falling away from him now. Baptista finding a way by. The queue behind him includes Julien Falchereau and also Robert Schwartzman, and through the second chicane they wriggle now. We're working lap 5 out of a possible 14 in this race. 3-4 abreast as they work their way up towards the Lesmo bends there. 17 you saw going through, Alexei Korniev, who has had some Formula Renault experience, but got involved in an incident yesterday that delayed him pretty badly, and ultimately the damage enough to put him out of the race. Sacha Fenestraz keeping going with the damaged front wing. Look at this battle pack, 4 of them tripping over themselves as they work their way now down towards the Variante Ascari for the 5th time. And a big moment that, I'm afraid, takes Korniev right around. Can he get going? Yes, hooks a gear, recovers, blasts away, but more places lost. A little bit too much speed carried into the Variante Ascari, and Alexei Korniev goes around. Thankfully, he's still in the race. And amazingly, Sacha Fenestraz is still being able to hang on to his position and repel most of them. Bartolomew Miretsky there, number 96, works his way through, but he's about to lose out as well, I fear. The green and black car of the Polish driver coming under attack. The leaders have gone by, and the lead gap has come down once more. Miretsky on the inside, trying to hang on to that place. Right with him, though, as they come over the timing line. Hugo de Sadelier past the pits. And again, Fenestraz locks up. Chavez goes up the inside to try and gain a place as well, and he gets past Julien Falchereau going down towards the Rettifilio, and Fenestraz tries to make a move as well. That was opportunistic given the damage the car has got. He's put himself on the outside line for the next corner. He's going to have a go at this. Is it going to work for him? Let's see. Through they turn. Sacha Fenestraz really struggling, though. That damaged, there's the effect of the downforce. You've seen how much he's been locking up, and late in the race those tyres are going to struggle. Up the escape road goes Falchereau, and now hustled out of the way is Fenestraz, and also in all of that Schwartzman has lost out because past him goes Vasily Romanov. Schwarzman in the red, white and blue car was the first to gain, but then Vasily Romanov for Fortek in the red and white car at the head of this little pack now. He was the real opportunist. He had a good run and gained 2 places coming out of the corner. So the chicanes produce action, but the frustration is you carry too much speed in, or you try and make a move and brake so late, lose momentum, you lose places again. The race is on lap number 6 and 14 minutes of it remain as the cars work their way to the Variante Ascari once more. After his dramas a lap ago, incidentally, Alexei Korniev got going in 22nd place, so penultimate, just ahead of Julija Pankiewicz. The race leaders come through there. Max Stefani is ahead of Lando Norris, but Norris now is under big attack from Jahan Daruvala, second and third, nose to tail as they come over the timing line. Blue car Lawrence Hurd tries to gain ground. That's for second. Look, Norris versus Daruvala. Jahan Daruvala in the car with a silver nose, and Will Palmer is catching up as well. So second and third and fourth getting themselves in a line as they work their way now up towards the Curva Grande once more. This is lap number 7. Just about everybody has got someone to race against other than the leader, and that's suiting Max Stefani down to the ground. Jahan Daruvala comes up, has a look to get past Lando Norris, can't find a way through. And for as long as they are squabbling, is that going to help? It should indeed help Will Palmer, who is pounding along behind them and trying to get closer and closer and closer. Meanwhile, back through the Variante della Roggia, Sasha Fenestras still trying to defend. He's fallen down to 15th place now. Hugo de Sadelier tucked up behind him. And just up ahead is Narcis Isakian, who was off the road yesterday. Norris, Daruvala, Palmer, second, third, fourth, into the Variante Ascari. Palmer is almost there on the back of them now, but he's not quite close enough. He's not far away, that is for sure, though, as the cars now work their way down again towards the Parabolica. Here they come. Norris trying to defend. Daruvala trying to benefit from a tow. Has he got the inside line? Yeah, he thought about it. Backs out, so Lando Norris hangs onto the place. Does he run wide? He does! And now Jahan Daruvala has got the momentum and the tighter line, the shorter line and the place coming out of the Parabolica. He's got the inside line down to the Rettifilio now. Will Palmer gets a tow here. He's going to be right with them by the end of the pit straight. Daruvala takes second. Norris fights back past the pits. He's on the outside line. It's going to be the last of the late breakers, and look at the closing. Will Palmer in 4th place, the third of these 3 cars. Norris is ahead, but he's on the wrong line. Daruvala takes the place. Here comes Palmer round the outside of 1, tries to get round the outside of 2. In the end, he doesn't benefit because Lando Norris fends him off. Will Palmer now looks to the inside line, going into the Curva Grande. Is there room? Not quite, no. Norris able to move across and defend now. But all that takes is 2 corners worth of defending, and look at the gap that's opened up second to third. Palmer attacks round the outside of the Curva Grande, means the inside line for the first part of the Variante della Roggia, and he goes through. Palmer for third, Lando Norris drops to 4th. Both graduates of Ginetta Junior Racing, and now running together as they work their way into the right-hander of the first of the Lesmo Benz. Will Palmer, last year's BRDC F4 champion, keeping Lando Norris at bay. Lando's already been a winner in this year's BRDC F3 Championship, which the series has grown into. New car, new name, but the same pedigree. And the field now working its way down again towards the Variante Ascari, with Max Stefani now with this monster advantage, but Jahan Daruvala up into 2nd spot, getting away. The incident that involved Alexei Korniev is under investigation. And now that Will Palmer is good for the podium, what can Lando Norris do behind him? Can he fight back? Dorian Boccolacci, yesterday's winner, runs 5th, and he's trying to play catch-up as well as the cars once more work their way down towards the Parabolica. At the end of lap number 8, Max Stefani will lead, and the margin has been going up and up and up over recent laps. 2.4 seconds, and now 2.5 seconds. So, barring a mechanical problem like yesterday, the Belgian driver has got this one absolutely in the bag. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, Daruvala, then Palmer, then Norris. Still get the feeling that's not done yet, though, as they head down again towards the Rettifilio. Lando Norris has proved that he can race very well, and even when he loses out, he is not content to sit there and take it. He will fight back if able. Sacha Fenestraz, believe it or not, has gained places on that previous lap, but he's about to lose one because at last Hugo de Sadelier there goes past him. So Fenestraz was up to 14th, but de Sadelier gets back on the inside and has retaken the spot once more. A battle seesawing between the two of them as now we look at the field working its way up towards the Variante della Loggia. Turning through there, number 3, Robert Schwarzman, who is in 11th place. One of the SMP back drivers, the Russian racing scheme. He drove in the Italian as well as the German F4 championships last year. So he's done some miles in Monza in the past. Through goes number 2, Lando Norris, then down in 4th place. Is he staying with Palmer? Fractionally faster in the first sector, but at the moment the race is all about this man, Max de Forney. He's looking very, very good indeed. Boccolacci pushing as hard as he can in 5th spot. The race leaders now down to the Parabolica. Robert Schwarzman drifting his car through the Variante Ascari. You can see how close or otherwise people are to the curbs there. Sacha Fenestraz still battling against the damage. He's done a good job actually to keep going, whereas we've lost into the pit lane Bruno Baptista. A couple of laps to go. He sadly looks like he's a retirement. The race leader has just gone over the timing line as the rest of the field dive down towards the Parabolica. Lawrence Herr, number 77, trying to gain ground as well lower down the order there and succeeding on the inside of the Parabolica. The lead gap has come down a smidge. It's 2.3 seconds now between de Forney and Daruvala. Palmer to Norris is 8/10, and that time around Norris did a lap which was about 3/10 slower than Will Palmer, so it looks like Will now is a lot more secure in that 3rd position. Lawrence Herr still fighting as he heads into the braking zone. The next target for him is going to be Sacha Fenestraz. And also making progress, number 18, James Allen for JD Motorsport. So Max de Forney, who's been out on his own. Everybody else has been busy in this race apart from the leader, and he's done the job absolutely right. Stormed away early on, left everybody else battling in his wake, and so now Max de Forney has a 2.3 second advantage to preserve all the way to the checkered flag. It's been a very impressive drive by the Belgian driver, Max, who was one of the top rookies. So not only is he closing on Daruvala, but in real terms he's closing on the race leader. I don't think he's going to get there in time because he's 2.7 seconds back from de Forney, but it does illustrate the pace that Palmer's got in a far, far better showing today than yesterday when he got mired in the traffic. Many of the circuits are going to be new to Will this year, whereas those like de Forney, like Daruvala, who've been in the championship before, know the venues, but for the podium here, Will Palmer looking good. Further back, an effort being made under braking by Hugo de Sadelier into the Retafilio to try and find a way up past Nersis Isikiam. It comes to naught. And in the first sector, again, Palmer is quicker than Daruvala and quicker than de Forney. Another good little fight going on lower down. Enrique Chavez launches himself over the curbs, and Vasily Romanov comes up in the Fortec car on the outside and easily takes the place. So that was Enrique Chavez getting himself in strife. He's cost himself 1 spot, and that means that he's lost 9th to Vasily Romanov now. 5 more minutes of the race remain. We're on lap 11. Down through the Variante Ascari have gone the race leaders. Lando Norris falling away in that 4th place. A bit surprising. He's still the best of the rookies in this race, but at the moment he's falling away down in 4th spot despite having gone well early on. And off the road goes Robert Schwarzman, loses a place. Has that done damage? Whoops, almost loses the car completely as he tries to get back on track without losing too much time. Well, the Josef Kaufmann racing car does recover. That Schwarzman, who was 11th, is going to be further down, and as he tries to recover, look, they all come streaming past him, and he's just not getting back up to speed, is he? Suggesting he's got a bigger problem now. So the race leaders go through, 2.1 seconds de Forney to Daruvala, Daruvala to Palmer, 3/10, and it's less than that by the end of the straight because Palmer's on the outside line, tries to find a way past the Indian driver, can't do it, tries to line up maybe for an attack on the exit of the Retafilio, can't do it there either. Daruvala is wise to all of this and positions the car just where it needs to be. Through the Curva Grande they come, long, fast right-hander that swoops round towards the next of the chicanes, and now Palmer makes his move. He's got the inside line for the Curva Grande, but it's the outside line for the first part of the Variante della Loggia, so he's going to have to slot back in behind, which he does. And if they're going to squabble like this, does that throw a lifeline at Lando Norris? Yes, is the answer, because look, he's a bit closer in that 4th place. It also means now that Max Deforny's advantage is growing once more. He's pulling away up front. Drama lower down. Hugo de Sadelier getting involved there. Look with Nazi Isikian. De Sadelier in the black car. Isikian drops behind him. And up the inside also now tries to come James Allen in the all-blue car, but he gets his nose chopped. Great little fight going on here. 4 of them all in a queue. Sacha Fenestraz is involved in it still there. Look with the black and orange car despite the damage, and James Allen trying to gain places, loses out in the end. It's a race of what could have been for Sacha Fenestraz. Through the trees, under the bridge, over which goes the bank circuit, the old circuit, and into the braking zone for the Variante Ascari. Still able to keep his place, Sacha Fenestraz. It's a really good defence, this, despite the fact that the balance of the car, the handling, the aero is all massively compromised. Here are the race leaders then, over the timing line, and Lando Norris getting himself back onto the tail of Will Palmer. Max Deforny's advantage is now over 3 seconds. Yesterday's winning margin was 3.1 when it was claimed by Dorian Boccolacci, who's been a rather subdued 5th in this race. Boccolacci is 1.2 seconds behind that man, Lando Norris. And Norris in turn, still trying to stay on the tail of Palmer. The next little battle comes over the line. And once again, it is Alexei Korniev trying to gain places here. Korniev's worked his way back up after his earlier spin. He's on the outside line as they head down towards the braking zone. Is he going to be able to gain a place at the expense of James Allen? No, Allen stays ahead, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. 2 minutes to go through the Variante della Raggia all together. And Lando Norris is on the back of Palmer now. That is assuredly what Will Palmer does not want, and it might even help Jehan Daruvala, because if Palmer has to defend, that will distract him, that will make him go slower, that will play into the hands of Daruvala because he can escape up front. Exactly the same thing is happening for the race leader, Max Deforny. And have a look at the 5th place car, because Dorian Boccolacci finally is buying into this lead battle. Yesterday's winner starting to make it now really a 4-car train for 2nd place, at the head of which is Jehan Daruvala. Less than a lap time left in the race now, so they're going to start the last lap this time. Heading down now towards the Parabolica comes Deforny, the race leader, in 2nd spot behind him. Jehan Daruvala, and then this fight between Palmer and Norris. Through they come. Over the timing line, a lap to go, and it's battle on. 6 tenths now between Palmer and Norris, starting the last lap. Lando Norris gets a toe, Palmer tries to defend, Lando Norris right in the wheel tracks, goes to the outside as they head down towards the Rettifilio. Will Palmer has the line, brakes as late as he dares, turns right, turns left. Can Norris do anything on the exit here? And he's now got Boccolacci tucked up behind him. Norris has got the speed coming out of the corner. Is there a gap on the inside going into the Curva Grande? Can't find it in the first element. Yes, he can. He does get the car up the inside. Lando Norris dives out at the last moment. Wheel to wheel, they turn through. He's got the speed, he's got the run, has he got the place? And will Boccolacci go through as well? Palmer here is under huge attack though, wheel to wheel, he's got the inside line, he's going to hang on to the place though. He stands his ground, Will Palmer on the inside going up to the chicane, and so Lando Norris's chance has come to naught. He's got to do it all over again. It could happen down to the Variante Ascari, it could have to be a toe and then the run down to the Parabolica, but Norris goes a bit wide at the first Lesmo, and that brings Dorian Boccolacci onto his tail. Boccolacci has done the fastest lap of the race last time. He's all of a sudden woken up. He's being helped by a toe, certainly, to get himself onto the back of Lando Norris now, because on this lap Boccolacci has done the absolute best in the first sector as well. So can he gain a place? And if Norris has to go defensive, that's going to let Palmer escape up the road. So here they come, 4th place man, Lando Norris. He's been in the thick of things race long here, and it's not done yet. It looks like Palmer's good for the podium. It looks like Daruvala is good for 2nd, and Max Deforny is going to be a race winner as they work their way for the last time down to the Parabolica now. Through the right-hander. Round 2, though, of the Formula Renault 2.0 NEC is going to be won by Max Deforny, who comes out of the Parabolica. Checkered flag at the ready. A dominant Deforney wins at Monza. Second across the timing line is going to be Jahan Daruvala. Will Palmer third, and it's just Lando Norris for fourth by 0.06 of a second from Dorian Boccolacci. In sixth is number 7 Nikita Troitsky, ahead of Gabriel Aubry, ahead of Alex Gill for 8th. 9th will be Vasily Romanov, and 10th Enrique Chavez at the end of another very lively race with battles right the way through the field. And so, a very happy R-Ace GP team celebrating in the pit lane, and a 1-3 because Deforney and Palmer run by the same squad, finishing in first and third places. So, a very, very good second round of the championship for the team. So Max Deforney the winner, Jahan Daruvala taking second spot, third Will Palmer, Lando Norris fourth ahead of yesterday's winner Dorian Boccolacci in fifth place, then sixth Nikita Troitsky, Gabriel Aubry was seventh, eighth Alex Gill, ninth Vasily Romanov and Enrique Chavez 10th, and that confirms the order, and it shows you a full second margin that Max Deforney had over the Indian Jahan Daruvala. From Palmer for the podium, Norris for fourth, Boccolacci and Troitsky, and then the bottom end of the top dozen, Julien Falchereau finishing today 11th, and Hugo de Sadelier coming home in 12th spot. 13th was Narcis Isikian ahead of Sasha Fenestraz despite the damage. Alexei Korniev was 15th from James Allen and Bartolomei Miretsky. Finlay Hutchinson 18th from Lawrence Hoare, Kasper Larsen. Julia Pankiewicz from the back of the grid ahead of a trouble Robert Schwarzman, who retired in the end into the pit lane. Bruno Baptista was the other retirement mid-race. So it has been a very lively first weekend in this championship, and the series will move next to Silverstone, May 13, 14, 15 weekend, which is one for your diaries because it is of course the next round of the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup, and we always get some great GT racing around Silverstone. British circuit, just like Monza here in Italy, with a fine history, and it's going to be a great race weekend also with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. So one to look forward to if you're a race fan, Silverstone next month. But the top three drivers then will make their way shortly to the podium. Will Palmer 13th yesterday, taking that third place. Jahan Daruvala, who was fourth yesterday, taking second. And Max Deforney, who was effectively a retirement but classified 19th yesterday after his lengthy pit stop. He is the race winner, and it's R-Ace GP that is the winning team. Lando Norris, the top rookie. Drivers shortly will, as I say, be up on the podium at the end of another very, very lively race in Formula Renault 2.0 NEC. The cars now make their way into Parc Fermé. Technical checks to be conducted, but the drivers in a moment will be escorted by the race officials up towards the podium. And some feisty racing as we kind of come to expect really from Jahan Daruvala, but a much, much better result from Max Deforney celebrates his win, and the Josef Kaufmann team able to congratulate Jahan Daruvala. Monza has always been a good circuit for single-seater racing because you have the ability for the cars to slipstream to overtake, and there was evidence of that aplenty in that race. So as a delighted Max Deforney clambers out of the car, he can celebrate his first win in this championship of the season. Out he hops and makes his way over towards the team, the R-Ace GP squad. ART Junior team was known last year, able to congratulate its driver, and Max Deforney will now make his way up towards the podium. His winning margin, 4 seconds in the end, a greater winning margin than yesterday. And this championship that dates back to 2006 when it was won by Felipe Albuquerque, who is here this weekend racing GT cars. Frank Kekler was the champion in 07. Valtteri Bottas, the 2008 champion. Antonio Felix da Costa in 2009. Carlos Sainz Jr., a former champion. Jake Dennis, Matt Parry, Ben Barnicoat and Louis Delatraz, the recent champions as well. So a roll call that indicates that people go on to great things, whether it's in GTs or touring cars, and then through the single-seater ranks up to Formula One. Now Max Deforny can celebrate his race victory. He'll make his way to the podium shortly, but after a mixed weekend, there's a story to tell about race 2, and he's with Bruce Jones down in the pit lane.
Max Deforny, you made that look easy. 4 seconds was your margin of victory, and all the racing was happening behind you, but great start from pole.
Yeah, we had a very good race. We just got a good launch and managed to get a gap at the start, and then was able to manage the gap throughout the whole race, and it was a really good race for us and for the championship.
But it shows 2 races in 2 days, totally different results.
Yeah, yesterday we had a technical failure when I was just caught at P3 from starting P5 from a bad quali, and we finished P19, so it was obviously quite a bad result today, but we were able to bring it back up today and some good points for the championship to come back.
Well done, Max.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Max Deforny is a happy man today, and shortly we'll head up towards the podium, where the championship's organiser of Weishaupt, the head of Renault Motorsport Germany, and Vera Hermann, the administration officer for this championship, are ready with the trophies for the drivers. The next stop is Silverstone. From then it goes to another Formula 1 venue, which is part and parcel of the championship's makeup. It goes to Budapest, then to Spa, and then it diverts to go to Assen, where the Dutch circuit has always played host to the championship at the very, very popular Gamma Racing Days event. Then it's back on the Blancpain Trail to the Nürburgring in September, and then Hockenheim, 3 races at the end of the year. Let's look back at some of the best bits of what was a very lively race that began with the pole position driver, which was the Belgian Max Deforny, grabbing the race lead, and despite a rather scrappy approach to the chicane of the Rettifilio, he was able to hang on in there, 1 or 2 up the escape road, but the first lap on cold tyres, crucial for Deforny. He left everybody else squabbling behind him. He got his head down and he pulled clear to build that race lead. After that, there was just no stopping him. Everybody else, though, seemingly got themselves involved in a battle, and there were some great fights raging on all the way through the order. Dramas befell Alexei Korniev, though, as he got tapped into a spin, and a late race fight between Will Palmer and Lando Norris would sort out the last place on the podium. In the end, it was Palmer who did the overtaking and managed to hang on in there as Norris became distracted by Dorian Boccolacci, who arrived on his tail right at the end. But Max Deforny, 4 seconds before anybody else came through to take the checkered flag, and with it, a race win. So great job done by Max Deforny, and a very happy man he is indeed, as the drivers in a few moments will be on the podium at the end of the second race of the championship, the familiar format, 2 races at all weekends, apart from the 3 that you get for that very important season finale at Hockenheim in early October. So, spectacular scenery around Monza. Glorious spring day here. We had some heavy overnight rain on Friday, the same again yesterday, but dry conditions now. The track was a bit damp this morning, but it's pretty much bone dry, and the Formula Renault teams can pack up and think about the next round of the championship. But the circuit, the marshals and other competitors have got their work still to do here. So in a few moments' time, we should have our victorious drivers making their way out to celebrate a job well done. And it's not just the drivers that are recognised, it's the teams as well, and RACE GP having that great 1-3 result in the second race in the championships calendar this year. A series, as I say, with this great pedigree, kind of grew out of the Netherlands and the German championships, and one of the German champions, Christian Klein, Scott Speed, was a German champion, and Renger van der Zande among those that won the Netherlands series in the 2-litre form. So it was an amalgamation of different championships. Now there's no British Formula Renault Championship. It's why you find the British teams and drivers coming into this as well, and it all adds to make it a very strong series. It had competition from another regional series, but no more. This has been able to stand the test, whereas the Alp series has fizzled away. And it makes for a very, very strong championship indeed, and some good racing. And we've had proof of that over the course of this weekend here at Monza. So out come the drivers. Will Palmer ready for the 3rd step on the podium, and the son of former Grand Prix racer and sports car race winner Jonathan Palmer heads for the 3rd step. for his second place. Then Jahan Daruvala, the Indian driver. And for the top step of the podium, it's going to be Max de Fourny for the R-Ace GP team that will be represented as well. Lando Norris, the top rookie driver. And in a few moments' time, once everybody is there, so trophies can be presented at the end of another hectic race in Formula Renault 2.0 NEC, the Northern European Cup, to give it its full title. But race 2 of the weekend, won by Max de Fourny, and the British driver Lando Norris will make his way out, and so too the R-Ace GP team, represented as well. So for Max de Fourny, the celebration's about to get underway because the trophies are handed over by Ralf Weishaupt, first of all to the third-placed driver, Will Palmer. And Ralf Weishaupt, the head of Renault Motorsport Germany, the prime mover behind this championship. Then the second-place trophy will go the way of Jahan Daruvala. And then the race winner, Max de Fourny, after his technical failure yesterday, as he was explaining, bounces back in style today with the winner's trophy, P1, and a big smile on his face as well. Lando Norris will take the Best Rookie Award, and it's going to be the R-Ace GP team that will celebrate victory here in the second round of the championship. Trophies presented then, and the season will head next to Silverstone, where again a modern-day Formula 1 venue, nice and wide, nice and fast, is going to deliver some great racing for sure. All the drivers huddled together on the top step of the podium. For some drivers, there's a hard luck story or two from the weekend and some thinking to be done before they get to Silverstone. But for Max de Fourny, he can celebrate honours in race 2, and of course from yesterday's race, Dorian Boccolacci can celebrate after a great drive yesterday. It means that we've got another wide open season in front of us. It means that we can look forward to some great racing within this year's Formula Renault 2-litre NEC. The Northern European Cup will leave Italy and it will go to Great Britain in a month's time. We'll see you there. For now, though, from an all-action Monza for the first 2 rounds of the championship, thanks for your company. And we will see each other again at Silverstone on May 13, 14, 15. From David Anderson for now, bye-bye.